my drive. I hug my kids and kiss my wife. Flop in my chair, I know things are gonna be alright. Bachelorette is on the TV. My wife turns it up and says something to me, but I'm climbing that blind as I slowly close my eyes. 'Cause in my mind I'm in my shooting position. In my mind I'm lost and steady, not flinching. In my mind I've got a big buck in my sights. That's where I go when I'm itching to beat that 7-day addiction. You work your ass off day after day. It seems that life is all work and no play, but I tell myself it's all okay. 'Cause in my mind I'm gone fishing. In my mind I'm in my shooting position. In my mind I've got a big red on the line. I got a big buck in my sight. That's where I go when I'm itching to feed my 7-day addiction. That's what I do when I'm itching to feed that 7-day addiction. To feed that 7-day addiction. Cup of coffee, early morning. Me, my brothers, and my daddy get going down to the local bay for some fishing fun. As we load up that 4x4, the boss man knocks on my office door. Said, son, get to work or you ain't working here no more. I pick my head up and give him a smile, but I'm far gone so many a mile. I'm looking at him thinking, didn't you read that sign? 'Cause in my mind I'm gone fishing. In my mind I can see that old bobber twitching. In my mind I've got him big red on the line. That's where I go when I'm itching to feed my 7-day addiction. Clock out after a 12-hour day. Just my luck, I'm stuck on the interstate. So I call my baby, tell her I'm gonna be home late. Finally pull up into my drive. I hug my kids and kiss my wife. Flop in my chair, I know things are gonna be alright. Bachelorette is on the TV. My wife turns it up and says something to me, but I'm climbing that blind as I slowly close my eyes.
Really good design, old school design that they brought back.
Good choice of music too.
Can you say hear the music?
Huh?
Can you hear the music?
Yeah. We actually wrote that.
Really good
What?
design, old school design that they brought back.
My brother actually is in Nashville. I wrote it with him.
Band.
No, he's just He's been trying it for about 10 years. He actually was with a record. What's that? Yeah, that's off. Okay. So, yeah, he did that for us, so it worked out.
All right. We are ready.
Yeah, I love that country rock, that Texas country rock, the red dirt kind of almost.
All right. So we're good, Fabian. Looks like we're ready to go and get started now.
All right, here we go. All right, guys, I believe this is episode number 3 of the Feed the Addiction show. We are here with George Rice from 5x5 Brewing. Appreciate you coming by.
No, man, it's awesome. I love supporting local, and I've been hearing about you guys for a while. And then when TJ, he runs Save Less Charters, reached out to me. He's like, hey, you want to do a show? I was like, man, I love free publicity. Yeah, I'll do a show. And when he told me who it was, I was just like even more excited because, I love the outdoor stuff. I love hunting. Unfortunately, being back here from the oil field with the business, I haven't been doing as much fishing as I want. Hopefully, TJ is listening and he hooks us up with a company fishing
TJ,
trip
it's
sooner or
on you
later.
now. Right now, the ball's in your court. So.
See what he wants to do with it. But, we're here with George Rice, 5x5. Well, obviously, Sam Robles and myself, Fabian Hernandez. This is show number 3, and I'm pretty excited again. Like you said, it's a local company, but I think honestly it's getting much, much bigger. I was very surprised when I started doing a little more research on how large and how quick it's getting, how big it's getting so quickly.
I've been hearing about you guys for probably like the last 2 or 3 months now. TJ actually brought me aware to it, and for some reason, I swear I think Facebook records our conversations because next thing you know, I see it pop up on my Facebook.
They do. So just so you know, everybody, we're listening to you.
Oh, gosh.
So awesome, man.
Yeah, but actually, Fabian was talking about you, though. Like, your stuff's blowing up. Our stuff's kind of crawling a little bit, but your stuff's kind of blowing up, and we're seeing you guys everywhere, man.
Yeah, we're like a cancer.
But a good cancer.
Yeah, we're like a good stage 4 cancer.
One that's not going to kill you. One that's going to help you enjoy your fishing trips and hunting trips a little bit more than
depending on the amount.
Well, cool deal, man. Let's go ahead and just jump right into it. I guess the same question we ask almost everybody, depending on what their passion is. Obviously, you're very passionate about what you do. So the first question we always ask is, how did you get started with this stuff?
We LLC'd in 2016, but we were kind of formulating this a long time before that. It kind of started off with me, my older brother, and a good friend of ours, actually, he's from North Edinburgh, Matt Bowling. They initially were talking about doing a craft beer magazine regionally, but this was years ago.
Okay.
And I got back out of the military, and I used to make questionable alcoholic beverages when I was in the military downrange in Iraq, Afghanistan, because you couldn't have alcohol or you couldn't have alcohol sent to you. So we're like, okay, we'll just make our own. It was horrible.
But it got the job done, right? It fulfilled the purpose.
I think I had 2 friends that I almost got blinded by it. So that's what initially, I just love the idea of being able to make my own stuff that I could drink, and got into the home brewed thing. And initially we wanted to open up a distillery. So when I called my brother with this crazy idea, like, hey, I want to open up a distillery, he's like, well, you got to talk to Matt. I was like, and I knew Matt from before.
So what was it? Why did you have to talk to Matt?
Matt's just a subject matter expert.
Okay.
He's been brewing and distilling since he was in I think he was in high school or junior high. Like
all the bootleg is stuff.
Yeah, he's an old Irish guy, so he's been doing this for a while.
It's been said he was Irish.
Yeah.
But that was like a hobby for him, like just something that he was doing?
It's just been a hobby for him. They had like 240-year-old family recipes for Irish whiskey and rum and everything. So we're like, hey, let's do this. And when we started looking into it, we found out like it might be better to start off with a brewery first, because that's the first product you have to make before you actually start making whiskey and rum. You have to make beer.
Based off of regulations or based off
no,
what you say
like
when you're required?
it's part of the process.
So the beer becomes a whiskey? And
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow, I didn't know that.
Trust me, you do not want to drink distiller's beer. It's not the best thing ever. It's horrible. But the whiskey's amazing. But the distiller's beer is just like, oh my gosh, throw this away. What is this?
So it's bad beer. So we got a fridge full of stuff that potentially still has use for it.
Yeah.
Old ice chests full of dirt and whatever.
But yeah, we just started rocking and rolling, and we started formulating a plan, and we brought in another friend of ours that was military as well, Sean Downey, who's currently our GM, and also really good at branding, really good for graphic design and website stuff. And so we brought him in and ended up giving him some sweat equity into the company and helped us out with the branding initiative. Initially, you're not going to believe this, but we were initially going to call ourselves Big River Brewery.
Really?
Yeah, we were really close. We were like 2 days.
How does that work? Like, is that like, what's the meaning behind the Big
We were
River?
2 days away from filing our LLC, and all of a sudden we saw this notice in the newspaper talking about Big River Brewery and Farm. We're like, oh man, we got to change this quick.
So what's it? Just I guess I mean apparently it must mean something, right? So put that in the context of the name Big River.
Well, we wanted something to represent locally.
Okay.
And so that's initially what we were going to do. But then, we saw that there's another brewery down here by the name of it.
So you're saying there's a leak somewhere? You have a leak within your organization?
Yeah. No.
Just teasing.
But initially, before that, we were like, hey, do we want to stick to our military roots? And we're like, no, we don't want to be too military-centric. And then we had to, we had to go back to the drawing board. And we're like, man, you know what? Screw it. I mean, this is who we are. Let's stick with it.
So what is the 5x5?
It's a military term. Everyone's confused by it. Like, everyone's like, oh, it's 5 owners, 5 deployments, 25. And like, no. Oh, it's the size of their first brewery system, 5 by 5 square feet. And I'm like, no. And I'm like, just Google it. It's not that hard. It's,
So let's put the story to rest. What is the true story? What does it mean?
It's a military communication and signal term. It pretty much means all good. So, the 5x5 is on a graph. And 5 for signal clarity, 5 for signal strength. So if you're 5x5, you're all good, or loud and clear. And that's, we're like, hey, we want to be loud and clear with our message. We want to be loud and clear with our brewers and what we represent. And so we went with it. And
it's all good, right?
Yeah, it's all good.
Awesome.
It's all good.
That is definitely awesome.
So you guys decide. So you reach out to Matt, and then so how does that? What is his response? I imagine he's obviously on board pretty quick. It doesn't take much to get the Irish guy.
Yeah, he jumps on board real quick, and we just we start rocking and rolling. We started doing like little homebrew batches, trying to do proof of concept, doing feasibility on economic feasibility, and then we started reaching out to different cities on with their EDCs and seeing which one would be the best fit for us. And honestly, we were really disappointed with a few of them, really, really bad.
So when you say it sounds like everything was here in the valley, like you were looking here in this region, or you looked outside of the valley?
No, we looked in the valley. We knew that there's a marketplace index down here.
Okay.
They always say the valley's 10 years behind everyone else, and we're like, well, we're 10 years behind the craft beer boom, so awesome time to jump in on it. And we had pioneers before us, like Glasscock Brewery, which, they had a great product and great concept. They're just before their time. And when we did our market analysis, we saw that the valley has space for 1 or 2 regional breweries, which we still do not have yet. We're trying to get there.
So there's a chance. So Fabian, you and I, 7 days.
Think about it.
7 days. We got. It sounds like might maybe get some seed money right here.
Well, yeah, there's other breweries in the work down here right now, and a lot of people are shocked when I tell them, like, you got about 4 or 5 breweries down here, and they're what? I'm like, you got South Padre Island Brewing down at the beach, and they have some amazing brews. You got Big River, of course. There's the second largest brewery down here in the valley right now. You got us, we're the big boys. You got Brewsome in McAllen on 10th Street. They just upgraded their system, so they got some good quality beer coming up. And then you got Blue Onion down in Weslaco, and they've been pushing out beer for I think 4 or 5 years. Some really good, tasty stuff.
I think this goes back to what again we're trying to do, and I love hearing you talk about other breweries. And just going back a little bit before I ask you this next question, before going back to the whole business mindset is, I mean, it seems like the brew community does have a pretty good tight-knit community.
It is a really tight-knit community, but that's not our market. Our market's like everyday people. We're trying to get people that have never tried craft beer before to try our stuff. So, like when, and I'm probably going to yell at this, like when the hopheads, the big IPA guys, they're the most cynical guys out there. They're like, oh my gosh, IBUs wasn't high enough in this. Like, I get the bitterness on the back left tongue. So we're like, man, we're going to stick to traditional base. So we stuck to Irish Red.
Does it get me drunk?
Yeah.
How many beers does it take for
But
me?
we wanted something that, wasn't out of this world, but that was every day people could drink. So we did an Irish Red called Foo Bar. And it's moving. Like, we can't produce this fast enough. We have to produce it every week or we run out. Our Honey Brown, our Burnett Bombshell, it's an American brown ale that has like a butt ton of honey in it.
That's my favorite one. I mean,
It's dangerous though because you can't taste the alcohol.
Yeah.
It's 8.68
That's why I
ABV, so
like
you,
it so
you
much.
drink like 2 or 3 pints, and you're like, "Oh, it's not that bad."
pints.
And then
It's
you
funny,
get up,
right? He
and you're
says
like,
pints. I guess when we talk about it, beers in the context of, beers, right?
Yeah.
Not pints, right? So it's definitely a different world that we're transitioning to, and we're learning a lot about.
yeah.
I think we've gotten ahead, but I want to. What year did all this begin?
We LLC'd in 2016, but honestly, we got into production a little bit over a year ago.
Wow. So
We had a
it's
lot of setbacks, a lot of huge setbacks, and it cost us a lot. It definitely was a lot more money than what I thought it was going to be.
And that was the first time you came out with 5x5, about a year and a half ago.
About 2 years, a year and a half ago is the first time we came out with the product officially to the public.
Okay.
Before that, we were doing different fundraisers. We were using all these fundraisers as guinea pigs, seeing like if our product was going to kill anyone or not.
Oh yeah, it's the beer's on us. Just
Yeah, it's on us here. We're donating it.
how come they're not drinking it?
Yeah, they're video recording, trying to see if there's any like reactions or anything. But we always knew that we wanted to be community minded, so we did all sorts of fundraisers before we even started. Valley Nature Center down in Westlaco. They're like, "Hey, you guys want to donate beer?" Like, yeah, this is awesome. In front of a couple hundred people, and we get to find out if our stuff, if we're biased on our own product or not. This is great. So yeah, we've been doing that for a while.
But like Darren, this is like going on in someone's basement or someone's closet, someone's
No, we had
garage?
a 1 barrel a nano system that we bought.
Okay.
We had a 1 barrel commercial nano system we bought, and that we were producing off of that, and we're perfecting our recipes and perfecting our methods. And like the product that we had a year ago is totally different than the product we have right now. It's a night and day difference. Our stuff that we have now is, we're submitting it to different competitions this year, or not this year, 2020. We're entering 4 or 5 different competitions across the U.S., and we're really confident we're going to be placing in a few of them.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, it's amazing how much like ground you can cover in such a short period of time, right?
If you have the right team,
yeah, absolutely right.
And that's what
like-
I'm getting at. It's like, man, just a year and a half. I mean, that's the success that you had in that amount of time is amazing.
we put together a real amazing team. So I got my older brother he's the guy that, pinches pennies. He's like, "Oh, we don't need this." Or like, "Yeah, we do." It's like, no, you have to have a really solid explanation on why you need something for him to bless off on buying it. Me, I have a production background. I'm really good with fluid dynamics. Every time there's something mechanical wrong, I'm not even a mechanic, but every time there's something wrong, like, "Hey, this pump's making a funny noise," I'll go over there with a hammer and, "Oh, it's work,"
Tap it
But
a little bit.
yeah, I'm really good with that. We got Steven Esteban. He's actually a professional brewer, has a bachelor's degree in it. It's pretty good for one of our conversations.
That's like really cool to go to college. So anyone who doesn't want to go to college, you can go to study.
I went for wildlife management. If I knew they had beer science at freaking A&M Kingsville, wildlife management would have been out the window.
I think that plug you just give A&M Kingsville stock just went there. It's just on everybody's radar.
Oh,
At
Everybody-
least as a minor.
Well, yeah, it makes sense. And now you can go to A&M Kingsville, get a degree, and then you have a place to apply
go.
for a job. You're back home. So
No, I don't think they have it yet. I don't think there's a single college in Texas that has a 4-year degree yet.
okay,
And
so it was outside.
this was in Tennessee. Go figure, Tennessee.
Yeah, of course. Right.
Oh, wow.
So you can get out beer, or you can minor in beer or moonshine or something.
Yeah. Oh God. But yeah, we put together an amazing team. Sean Downey, branding, helped us out with our social media, which our social media is really strong. Me and Alex are really good at content creation, and Sean's really good at regarding the graphic design work and all that. And then we have Ray. He's a PA, and these guys are all ex-military too, and they just bring in a different leadership perspective. So we have like different eyes on the entire project, and even though like I might be the majority owner, it doesn't matter. It's majority vote.
Yeah.
It's straight up a democracy. Even if I'm sticking to my guns, we have to do this. And everyone votes no. Okay.
It's a good way to kind of capture your blind side. It sounds like you said, it's a good team, diverse set of skills that everyone can kind of watch out for each other.
It's definitely a different business model than the structure is definitely different than most companies.
Than most other breweries, or just in general? Like
just in
companies?
general.
Yeah.
We really stick to the team effort type deal. Like everyone needs to have input on this.
Yeah, well, that's good, right? Because like the normal dynamic is like what the boss says,
The
whatever
boss,
whatever one
Yeah,
comes in.
it's more dictatorship,
Yeah,
you know.
absolutely, yeah.
Yeah,
So
and we're like, no, let's get as many eyes on this because I know I have faults, and you know, like our GM has faults, Matt has faults, everyone has faults, and you know, we're able to cover each other.
That's good that you have that self-awareness, right? That you have that kind of perspective.
Humility, yeah.
Humility, self-awareness, or whatever you want to call it. So,
But our business brand or model is completely different than others. We're really production focused. That's why we've had a lot of people complain. It was like, well, you guys only have like 4 or 5 beers on tap. It's like, yeah, because we're producing for the market. Yeah. You know, we're not producing for the tap room. We're trying, but the second we get it, you know, kegged, LNF's is like,
people are not going to
open the door. Like, we're taking your stuff. Like, oh man, you know, so they're taking it out and it's just flying off the shelves.
Oh, that's awesome. I mean, that's been my experience too. Everywhere I go, it's just like, yeah, but it's very good. That's awesome.
That is really good. Now you're talking about competition earlier. So obviously there's something that people look for, you know, and you know, I'm referring, I guess, kind of to the wine thing. Not that I'm a big wine connoisseur or anything, but I know that there's a palate and there's a color and there's an aroma and things that they're looking for. Is it the same way when it comes to?
It is and it isn't. There's a huge misconception with beer, especially on color. They're like, oh, I want a light beer, and they think a light beer is something that they can see through.
Okay.
That doesn't mean it's light. I have a brown, not a brown. I have a blonde ale, which by color it's our lightest beer, but it's not our lightest beer.
So what?
That beer is strong.
What does light mean? Just purely alcohol content, or
Alcohol palate, like our Irish Red's probably our lightest beer, even though it's red. But I mean, you can change the colors simply just by a different grain. You know, it doesn't really make the beer any thicker or heavier. It's just a color change. Like we have a black lager that's coming out. It's pitch black, but it's light as a Dos Equis. You know, but it's pitch black. Yeah. You know,
and maybe that's really what it is, right? It's this misconception of what light actually, the definition of light is a term that's used vaguely or inappropriately just by people. I mean, before you, I hadn't really talked to anyone that made beer, right? And so just kind of you being able to educate people via your social media platforms and whatever, just providing that content out there, like this is what a light beer is, and so all of these are light beers, black, red, yellow, whatever, right? And so they. Yes. Yeah,
and they all range. Like, you know, you have your malty beers, you know, you got your lagers, and lagers are a different type of ale. Not ale, but it's a different type of fermentation than a standard ale. Mostly what we do is ales. We do have a couple lagers that are in the works. We have one that's coming out in 2 weeks, that black lager, Schwarzbier. It's called Blood on the Risers. It's a tribute to our airborne paratroopers. And we're talking about doing maybe a lager in the summer, just a real basic, cheap lager, just because everyone's always coming in asking for what's your lightest beer you have. I'm like, and when I show them the art, it's like, this looks like our lightest beer, but this is actually our lightest beer, and they look at it and they get scared because it's
dark. Yeah.
It's a dark beer. Yeah. They're like, oh gosh, I'm like,
just, you know, everything else on the market out there that's dark is kind of has not everything, but a lot of it right there.
So we have to comp a lot of drinks. Like, just try it, you know, and then if you like it, come back and just give me a good tip. And you know, and then they drink it. They're like, wow, this is really drinkable, and you know, they expect something that's, you know, like they're gonna eat a steak
coffee
or something.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, we do have a coffee stout, which is real. It's actually light, but it's really light in body. It's a breakfast stout, but it's
breakfast. Now we're talking.
We have people that are actually using it for breakfast. We have guys that come in growlers, pick up growlers on Saturday. Was like, what are you doing? Like, why don't you just stay around? Like, oh no, this is for Saturday morning breakfast. I'm like, oh wow. You know, I put a little creamer in it and get going. I'm like,
it's just what I need to get my day started.
Yeah, to each their own.
Now, I'm not really obviously educated on this stuff, but you kept mentioning ale, lager. What's the difference between that?
So ale yeast eats on the top. So they ferment on the top, not eat on top. They ferment on the top, and basically, this is probably the worst sales pitch ever. How yeast works is that it's pretty much eating up the starches and sugars, and it's pissing out alcohol and farting out CO2. So technically, what we're drinking right here is piss right now.
Yeah, okay. Well, it tastes good.
Pretty good.
It's probably not the best sales pitch, but so ale yeast eats at the top, and then lagers yeast eat at the bottom. That's why lagers are so clear, because there's none of that yeast in the middle clouding it up. So they eat at the bottom, and you know, it just makes for a clearer product.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, even then, I'm gonna have to like rewatch this several times and listen to it, and then visually conceptualize.
If you guys come on over there, if we're not busy, we'll give you a tour. We'll kind of explain it.
Okay. Do you guys normally have tours, like scheduled tours?
We don't do scheduled tours. Just if we're not busy and we're not slammed, and we have someone that's like, "Hey, can you tell us how this works?" I'm like, "Yeah, come on over." You know, it's like, awesome. Go grab a beer first, spend your money. Okay, now come on over. Okay.
Yeah, grab 2 beers. Right?
Yeah,
it's gonna be a while. So. Or grab 2 pints.
Yeah, because I think ever since we started this podcast, I've been drinking more and more beer. I was a whiskey guy, and Sam's a beer guy, so it's like I want to learn this stuff because some of this stuff is pretty good.
Give me about a year or two, I'll have you covered.
Yeah, good
There
deal.
you go.
Yeah, I mean, my mindset, like, whenever I go, like, to HEB or, like, wherever, like, I just grab, like, a pack, like, a beer, and, like, I'm going for, like, I'm not going for name, right? And so, like, I've never had this. I'm going to grab this. And especially, like, now at the HEB there on Trenton and 10th, you can, like, choose your individual beers. Like, I want this one, this one,
Oh,
this
wow.
one, this one, this one. And, like,
Yeah.
it's just cool. Like, you just grab it and, like, what did you just drink? I don't know, but it was good. And then you take a look, and, like, oh, yeah, I've never heard of this. And it's, like, it's microbrewery, like, whatever. But it's just
awesome.
something.
We're definitely giving the big boys a hard time right now.
I would
I mean,
imagine.
across the state.
I think that's like
Yeah,
really
that's
like
awesome.
across really like all microbreweries. Like I think in general like it's a trend, like not a trend, but it's like a big change. Like
It's going back to what beer used to be.
Yeah.
Beer wasn't controlled by 2 or 3 companies. It used to be every neighborhood had their own brewery, had their own brew pub. This is before Prohibition. And then Prohibition, of course, well, what has government not screwed up? Prohibition totally set all that backwards. And then, you had these big boys that come in, they lock down the entire market.
Yeah.
And so it's been that way for a while, and the laws are very, very archaic, and they're designed to keep the small guys down and the big boys propped up. And slowly we're etching away at those really, really archaic laws. Texas is definitely behind on its times. This year we made some good. This past legislative session, we made a lot of good advancements, but it's not near to where it needs to be yet. It's getting there. It's just taking its time. We're Texas, we talk slowly, and
yeah, it's a little slow.
a little bit slower, but we're getting there pretty quick. But what I foresee happening in the next 20, 30, 50 years is that you're going to have a lot more of these breweries per community, and they're going to be very, very regionalized based. They're going to be really localized based.
I think that's really important because I mean, even like the stuff that we do, like we do fishing stuff, right? And like really, like a lot of the people come to like here to Fabian and I because it's Fabian and I, right? Because of the relationships we have, it's like very personal, right? So you just like you're not coming here to buy, like a rod or whatever, right? You're coming out here because you're gonna Fabian or me, and you want to do business with us, and you have that personal relationship. And I think that big companies can't do that, right? They can produce and scale, but they can't have that kind of.
It's not just that; it's just that money stays here. That's
absolutely,
money
yeah.
is going to pay for a kid that's going to be in your local soccer team or local softball team. That money is going to be going down to your local mechanic shop. That money's staying here in the community compared to like with you guys, compared to going to like Academy and
Right,
buying
yeah.
some fishing rod made in China.
Yeah, no, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, it's same thing. Supporting local, money stays local.
Yep.
That's awesome, man. Just having that mindset also. I mean, you gain that support, and like you said, that money stays here. But just I think to me, just that community base, and you guys have that. I mean, it's we see your name everywhere, and not only by the product, but by the donations and by the stuff that you're running, by the events that you're part of. And I think that just makes a big deal. Where again, someone like me wants to go and drink a 5x5 beer because of what you guys do. And I think that's a perfect mindset, man, to have.
Well, I mean, we love our community, and one of our biggest, one really big mantra that we had in the military is selfless service. And what type of member of the community would be if you're not being your brother's keeper, as they say. And so we're military themed, so we stick very, very heavily to that. And we've had people reach out to us all the time, like, hey, we got this issue. Like a few months ago, I can't release her name, but we got a message on Facebook like, hey, we have this homeless female veteran down here. I'm like, oh man, she's in the wrong neck of the woods. So like we literally just stopped everything what we're doing, boom, went out there, we picked her up, we brought her down to the VA, we got her set up with a caseworker, and we had a couple $100 donations came in. We pitched in a few of our own money. We put her up in a hotel room. We made sure she was watched after, and then the VA took care of the rest. But it's agitating when you see all these large companies, and they prey on the community as much as they can to get income, but they don't do anything back
don't do it
for the
back, right,
community.
yeah.
It's
Absolutely.
agitating.
That is so cool, man. And I guess going to the next subject, I mean, just because of how, again, I think it goes back to community as well, just because this is local. But something I saw back in the news a month ago, was that you guys were actually created, or I guess were able to make a credited class in STC.
Yeah, we actually got a lot of we had some people trash talk about it. We had some.
What was some of the negative things people were saying about it?
They were just social justice warriors, and they were like, "Oh my gosh, we're wasting taxpayer money on alcohol." I'm like, well, that's not exactly what's happening. What it is apprenticeship that we're paying for. You know, these have to actually be employed people in a brewery. Let it be us, Big River Brew, some SPI Brewing, Blue Onion. They have to actually be employed there, and now they have the opportunity to go to college and get an accreditation through an apprenticeship program, and that's what it is. And it's opening up the doorway for a bigger industry. Yep. And that's basically what STC is trying to do. They see that it's an evolving industry. They see that it's growing very rapidly. They know it's going to hit the valley, so they're setting up. First thing first is the apprenticeship program. They actually have a homebrewers course coming up
as well.
Yes,
I need to sign up for that. So.
Yeah, STC teamed up with Rio Grande Valley Homebrew Supply Store in McAllen, and they're putting on a homebrewers course over there, and just getting people involved and getting people interested in this industry. Again, this is where beer used to be at back in the day, pre-prohibition, and we're barely starting to get back to it. We just hit the number of breweries in the U.S. I think last year that we had back in the 1920s.
Wow,
I'm dead serious. Yeah, so we have a lot of ground to make up on.
Yeah, good deal.
That's just so cool, again, I guess obviously it's an education, but educating these kids on something that, that they do have another option to do. Some of these kids just don't want to go to college, but I think them hearing this type of stuff, it might just, light some type of fire under them and say, you know what?
Well, trades, man. Trades is where it's at. Let it be welding. And technically, this is a trade. It's very, very scientific. It's a lot of math, a lot of biology, a lot of chemistry that goes involved in it. And you have to have some work ethic too, because there's a lot of stuff that's involved, a lot of little stuff, and the little stuff is what's going to kick your ass. It's what's going to totally destroy a $10,000 batch. Yeah. And so it's a trade, and trade's where it's at right now. Like I just read an article right now that we're going to be short a U.S. wide 400,000 welders by the end of 2022. I'm like, man.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've been to places. I work in the oil field, and you have to literally bring these people from other places, and just because you don't have enough skilled laborers, or not laborers, craft tradesmen that have these trades, you have to bring them in from other places.
I used to work oil field, so I mean, when I look at stuff, it's easy for me to fix. Everyone's like, how do you do that? I'm like, that's really basic. And then I realized oh yeah, not everyone actually works for a living.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's a little bit different. Yeah, so
that's pretty cool, man. And I guess my next question is, I guess when you're actually trying to brew something, do you have a mindset of saying okay, this is what I'm looking for, this is a taste that I'm looking for, or are you all just saying, well, this might work, and see what comes out from it? No,
when we first started, it was a lot of throwing darts at a board and hoping we got ready. But no, right now when we design a beer, it has a specific intent behind it. It's what we're looking for specifically, and then we design it accordingly. And it's mainly our one of our partners, one of my partners, and a really good friend of mine, Steven Esteban, that he puts this together, and he has some amazing beers that he has in the works. I don't think the Valley's ready for them, though.
I'm ready for them. I'll let you know. I'm willing to sample them.
But are you looking for a certain taste that you've possibly tasted before, and then you're gonna tweak it a little bit? Or
well, no, I'll give you an example. Everything affects the taste of a beer. Let it be the water, the yeast, the grain, the boil, the hops, the adjuncts, everything has an effect on it. And so we have I can't talk about it that much.
No, don't.
But we have a certain beer that we're looking at doing that tastes just like peanut butter banana. And it is absolutely amazing. And there's not a single, and here's the thing.
So there is a direction.
Yes. And there's not a single ounce of peanut butter or banana that go into that beer, but it tastes just like it.
Wow. Damn, I'm trying to wrap my head around it. Right now, it's peanut butter.
It's all based off the grain and the esters from the yeast.
I'm not asking about that. I'm just talking about when I would drink it breakfast or after a workout.
I'm not big into these pastry beers that a lot of people are like, oh man, it's the local Cocoa Puff stout. I'm like, I don't like it. Just me. I'm not a huge fan of pastry stouts. That's just me. But I know, to each their own. We try to stick kind of traditional in our beers, like our Oktoberfest, which really caught us off guard. We produced 15 barrels of it, and we sold out in, I think like 8 days. Yeah. You know, they were like, we had bars like 4 weeks after Oktoberfest. Like, hey, do you guys have any more of that Oktoberfest yet? I'm like,
it's not October anymore.
oh, no, this was in September. We released it in September, and we were sold out before we even got to October.
Man, so,
yeah, it was bad.
Yeah, so next year we got to make 50 of them. Or you said you made 50, right? You made 15? Or?
No, we made 15 barrels. I think next year we're going to do, about 20, 25 barrels.
Wow, so there is like a category for it. It's a pastry. Like you're saying, a pastry taste, tasting beer. So there is categories of that. There's different pastries.
Yeah, they're all over the place, man. Wow. You have hazy IPAs, reds, browns, stouts. I mean, honestly, there's pages of different styles of beers that you can have.
So I grew up here in the Valley, and you start drinking pretty early, and then like everybody kind of starts drinking like Bud Light and like Michelobes and like stuff like that.
Water.
And so like water, right? Oh, and Tecate, right? And like for me, like drinking a Tecate, like it's not so much even like the taste of the beer; it's more of like what that reminds you of, right? And so it's not like, oh man, I remember like drinking this while we were out dove hunting, and this reminds me of fishing or like whatever reason, right? And it's just like it's not the beer. I'm not drinking the beer to kind of drink it to say, oh, this is such a refreshing and tasting beer. It's just like, oh, there's nothing better than Tecate with salt and lime, right? Whatever. But you have that. You have a lot of people like that in the Valley, and so like you said, like the Valley, there's only a few craft breweries in here. And so someone who's trying to make that transition from, say, that kind of a Bud Light, Michelob, Tecate, not to say that type of beer, but what would be your, like, I've had people who drink, like, I told you I buy all these craft beers and I just keep them in my fridge at home, and people, like grandwomen, are like, oh, that's too strong or that's really strong. So what would be, like, the first type of beer that you would recommend them to that's not something like that?
It's difficult. A lot of guys, especially the craft beer guys down here, they're like, "Oh, try this IPA," and it has like a 85 IBU, and you're pretty much going to shell shock off of the bitterness. You're
maybe not a specific beer, but a type of beer. Like when you say like
I recommend like something real, like just a regular blonde. Big River has an amazing blonde down there. We have a blonde, and it's just a good introductory beer into craft beer. It's not too heavy. It's not a lager. It's not like, a rice lager like you get from, some of the InBev boys and stuff like that. It's just a really light blonde beer. It's not going to scare you. It's not going to jump out and bite you. But I recommend you start off with that and then, start exploring if you like it.
The blonde is the gateway beer.
It's a gateway beer.
It's a gateway beer. So let's get
I want to use that. Oh, here's a good gateway beer. Get you started on this. In a couple years, we'll have you on stouts.
And the first one's free.
We're the largest drug dealer in the Valley.
No, good times.
So how many do you? Well, go ahead.
No, go ahead. There.
Well, how many do you have? Like, is there a number that you all have set of I guess taste brands?
So right now we have 5 product lines that L&F carries. They're the largest distributor in the region, and they're also our partners in this. They're our distributors. So we have an IPA called Hop Level 4. It's kind of a play on words. We overpun everything. We have an Irish Red called FUBAR. I'm not sure if you guys know what that acronym is.
Yeah.
Okay, let's not repeat it.
Beyond all recognition. That's
fun beyond all recognition.
Fun, there you go.
Yeah, fun.
That's you for fun.
It's just a really sweet, light, malty red. We have a honey brown called Brunette Bombshell, which is, man, that thing packs a punch. That's our strongest beer. And it's
actually I had 2 of them while I was watching Frozen this weekend. So with my daughter, so I was like, I gotta go. Like I had one before, and then during midway, I went back and grabbed it. You can actually have a 5x5 beer here at the bistro at the movie theater.
Yeah, they picked us up over there.
And so I was like, what? This is crazy. And I knew we were coming here. I was like, I'm gonna drink a few just so I could have a segment here in our conversation. But anyways, go ahead.
How did you like it though?
I've had it before actually, and so I've had it at the first time I had it was at Pyology.
Oh, okay, yeah, those guys been amazing. We love those guys, man.
Yeah. I mean, you pizza and beer, and then anyone who doesn't know, like Pyology is like a craft pizza place, maybe like you go in there and you choose like whatever you want, and then you get like this really sweet pizza, and then you get like some really sweet beer that go with it, and it's like, man, this is
it's awesome seeing all that stuff pop up on the Valley. You have Pyology, Brickfire Pizza, you have Extreme Pizza, and that's one of the things when I moved back. I thought I knew pizza when I was like, man, we had pizza like 3 days a week when I was in high school, and I go up to New York, no, these are pizzas, and I come back here and I'm like, damn it. back to Peter Piper.
or Little Caesars.
Yeah, I'm like, this is BS. But now you have all these like, artisan-based pizzerias popping up. I'm like, it reminds me, I'm like, oh, okay, I'm I'm very much Italian, so I'm like, okay, finally, get to enjoy some good pizzas.
Yeah.
So,
Go ahead.
So you had you said the hop level 4, the food bar, the brunette bombshell.
Oh
What do you
yeah,
have to say?
we also have a stout, coffee stout made with local coffee from Jitters.
That's your breakfast beer, right?
It's a breakfast stout, but you can have it any time of year.
But it works best with some eggs and some
Eggs
stick
and
and eggs.
bacon.
Man, it's pretty much a cold pressed coffee with about 7 ABV in it. So it's good. And then we have our blonde. Our blonde is absolutely delicious.
What's your blonde called?
Moorfield Blonde. It's named after the old Army Airfield base that's in McCook. Yeah, a lot of people are like, Moorfield, what's that? What is it? And they think it's named after like some, passed away soldier or something. It's like, no, you didn't know that we have an Army Airfield base like just north of us?
Local people don't know that?
Dude, a lot of people don't know.
I didn't know about that. I just found about it. Like I went to the museum, like actually the museum here in Edinburgh, and there was an area where they showed kind of where people went out to when they were doing some of the trainings for World War II. And they have them there, like, and I was like, oh, wow, I didn't know about that.
Yeah, they did a lot of training over there at Moorfield Airfield Base for World War II and stuff for fighter planes. They had the Mustangs out of there and stuff. They were doing a lot of training, ace training. So, I mean, it probably was pretty cool being a kid down here in the early 40s and seeing a bunch of Mustangs flying overhead. Like, what the hell's going on?
Unless you just try to sleep in the morning and you're like,
yeah.
It's probably not fun waking up to that every morning.
Well, you worked oil field, right?
Yeah, it is. I mean, I'm used to waking up early in the morning.
No, I mean, you ever get buzzed by the Naval Airfield guys out of Kingsville?
No, I mean, I work further out. So I work offshore and I work overseas.
Oh, you're one of those guys.
What?
Okay. No, never mind. We'll talk later about this.
Yeah, we'll talk later about
We got
that.
some beef.
So as long we can settle it over some blondes. How about that? So
All right, there we go. Some introductory level.
yeah, well, I'm a little bit beyond that. So I told you, I just like whatever I grab from my
I'm still at the
cooler,
gateway level.
Yeah, so but Fabian's there. I mean, I've kind of brought him along to the crossing. So he's at the gate. He's a big boy now. He's got to make his
There you go.
decisions.
I go to the next one.
Yeah. So one of the things you mentioned was that there's a place here in McAllen that you said in McAllen, a House of Brews or
RGV Homebrew Supply Store.
so I mean it sounds like they provide you stuff to brew your beer at home.
Yeah, they can get you everything you need from grain to yeast to your hops to actually some of the equipment that you need for it, and they can put you on the pathway. They do classes. They can get you set up for it.
So if I wanted to go, let's say after this, and say like, hey, I want to go brew my own beer, and I want to brew a blonde to kind of get the rest of my family onto kind of the craft beers, like what would it cost for me to kind of make that transition?
An arm and a leg. It is a very, very expensive hobby.
It's cheaper to buy it.
But the better you get at it, the cheaper it gets.
The better you get at, okay, so you learn how to kind of leverage what you buy.
Do you know anything about RC planes?
No, I don't.
Okay, like RC planes, the first one, you're going to crash within 3 minutes. Very, very expensive hobby. The more you spend, the better you get at it and the cheaper it gets.
Yeah, understood. So that's the same thing with anything. It's just like, you just kind of, there's some inertia to it. And so once you kind of get the wheel going, then you're turning, then you.
It's why us smart parents buy our kids beater cars to start off with and not buy them brand new Mustangs like all these other, people.
Well, here we call them piñatas.
Yeah.
We buy piñata cars.
Yeah.
So they can take all the hits out there. So
Cool deal, man.
yeah. So out of all these beers, what's your favorite beer?
It depends on the mood.
Oh yeah. So it's
If
like,
I'm just chilling out and relaxing,
if you're gonna come out and do a podcast with
I'll drink the Irish Red or the blonde. But if I'm on a mission that night to I want to feel good. I want to feel good quick. I want to drink the brunette bombshell because that has an 8.68 ABV and it's going to get me there real quick.
So obviously brunette bombshell. Let's drink that and let's get there to that point really quick. So what are what are some of the challenges that you have here, like as a craft brewer? Like obviously, like we said, there's a lot of people that are still tied up in some of these other beers and they don't know how to transition. So what are some challenges specifically for craft brewing in a market that doesn't necessarily have a lot of craft brewers or customers aren't aware of it or they've never kind of been exposed to it? How do you deal with that?
Regarding the marketing, it's just getting out and just getting people to try it. That's why, lots of fundraisers, a lot of events, and, you're donating your time, donating your product. Not only are you doing good things for your community and for local nonprofits, but you're also getting your product out there in front of other people. And so we look at it as a win-win situation. We're not just giving away free product, but we're also doing marketing. And that's the way we look at it. And that's how we've been able to get our product out in front of everyone, is that anytime we have people like, hey, we got this coming up, you guys want to be involved? Yes, we do.
Okay. Because we got a podcast tomorrow. You're going to be involved? I'm just
yeah,
joking.
let me go to Circle K real quick.
Yeah, no, that's awesome.
But some of the local problems that we had is a lot of it's municipality based. A lot of the cities down here that, again, it's an emerging market. So like one city in specific, they wanted us to put grease traps. I'm like, why? Like, well, you're cooking beer, sir. I'm like, I don't think you understand basic, like, junior high, biology, because, or basic junior high science.
Say that politely.
Yeah, because beer doesn't produce grease, but you want me to have this, and they wanted us to have an oven suppression system, like all sorts of crazy stuff. It was like $200,000 worth of added expenses that this certain city down here wanted us to have, and we had to walk away. We're just like, this is insane. Like, oh my gosh, this is so insane.
So you don't have any grease traps then?
No, actually, you know what? Not our grease. Our runoff water.
We can edit that.
Like, our byproduct actually cleans up the water supply. Like, it literally cleans out the grease from the water system, because we dump yeast out and drain. It eats away at it. Yeah. And then on top of that, it neutralizes the water, actually makes it healthier for the water treatment plant. We're actually doing a service for this community, and they were trying to charge us more for it. I was really agitated with them.
Yeah, well, obviously, I mean, it's part of what you have to do, right? People aren't aware of it. You got to train them and kind of teach them along the way. But
yeah, but it's scary when these people are in charge of city governments. That's what scares you.
Yeah. Okay.
Now, I guess very simple. Why Mission? What's the tie?
I was born and raised there.
Okay.
Amazing community. Awesome people. Extremely family oriented. I love that city.
I've been seeing more and more, I guess, with TJ and then seeing, like, I mean, it does seem to be one of those communities where business helping businesses.
It didn't always used to be that way. I mean, it used to be that way hardcore back when I was growing up. Like, Citrus Fiesta was huge. Yeah. It was like a week long of events, and it's just gotten away from that. And the last couple of years, we've just been doing a lot more community events, not just us, but the community, and just the city's amazing. The city leadership, previous administration, current administration, they're just really kind of stepping up. They just got All-American City last year. I'm not sure if you guys are aware of that. Yeah, it's an amazing city for me to be in, and I love it to death.
Awesome. So what is your biggest event? So, I mean, you talk about different events that go on, whether directly for fundraising or for the city. Like, what is the biggest event that you guys prepare for?
Oh, man, we're still barely past year one, man. I don't even know. We've had so many this past year. We had, when Trooper Sanchez happened, it really hit home with us. Yeah. For one, he was a sheepdog, law enforcement officer. Two, he was a Marine. So, it felt extremely personal. And we were actually at an event in McAllen at Museum when everything went down. And, within a couple hours, we were getting phone calls like, hey, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? Like, people from the community, like, are you guys planning on doing anything? We're like, okay, let's do something. So we linked up with different people, Rick from the Sheriff's Department, president of Valley Sheepdogs, and we just started putting together, these massive fundraisers that almost put us out of business, actually. Right. We almost
okay, go.
Yeah, but so we have that one, and we're going to be doing another one pretty soon. We're doing another Sheepdog music festival. Oktoberfest is always big. And then we just keep on doing fundraiser after fundraiser. We have another one coming up in 2 weeks for Heroes on the Water, which, they do, they put all these disabled vets out on the water and stuff, on kayak and stuff, and they're going to be out there in 2 weeks with we're not even putting on an event. We're just hosting it. It's a realtor group that wanted to host it, and they wanted to use our facility. So we're like, okay, we'll help you. We're setting it up and everything, and, giving them first pint free for the donation for the toy, and, raising funds for Heroes on the Water. So,
and when's that?
December 6th.
Where's that out of?
Heroes on the Water?
Yeah.
It's a national organization, but they have a chapter down here.
Where's that going to be out of? The island?
Yeah, they're out of the island. Yeah.
And then your music festival, you mentioned that you have coming up as well?
Yeah, we have the Rio Grande Valley Sheepdog Music Festival. We haven't set a date yet. It's going to be sometime in the spring. We'll probably do it right around spring break time to piss everyone off. And then, again, we always have our Oktoberfest. We have our year reunion. We have our quarterly car show. The list goes on and on and on. We have St. Patty's Day. We're always doing something.
And you do a lot of these events over at y'all's facility?
Yeah, it makes things easier for us. But we do a lot of events in the community as well. We do Bruseum over there at IMAS, which is a big event over there to raise money for IMAS. And then we do Brew in the Woods, which was just Veterans Day weekend. It was just a couple weeks ago down in Westlaco for the Valley Nature Center. We just did one up at Tres Lagos a couple weeks ago. That again was to raise money for Heroes on the Water, and we're everywhere.
Yeah, sounds like it, man. It seems
awesome.
like it's like you guys are stretched thin. I mean,
We are
you're doing that as well as like continually to put out your product, right? And it's a lot.
I don't know what was more painful, working the oil field or doing this. I actually, you know what, doing this, because working the oil field, you actually got paid for the hours you work, and here it's just a labor of love.
So no, this is like you got to play the long game, right? So like the short game is versus long game, right? So
yes,
it's kind of you got to have that mindset. You're building something that's greater than what you'll see today and tomorrow. And
yeah, hopefully InBev's watching this and they buy me out. No.
well, I mean, you saw what happened with Carbach, so. Maybe.
Oh yeah, no, I don't think we were always joking around with that. We actually talked about that recently. We were joking around. I was like, "Hey, would you sell out?" And at first, I was like, "Hell yeah, I would sell out! Like, get out of this in a heartbeat." But then I started thinking about it. Like, I don't think I could, because I don't think they would be.
Well, it'd be everything that you said it wasn't, right? Like you said,
everything we were supposed to represent.
Right.
It would be a sellout.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't think I could do that.
There's always I mean, there's like you got to say like right, like yeah, maybe you come back and do something. Yeah, but it's
maybe or maybe I mean, maybe or maybe not. I don't know. We actually had a serious conversation about that, because we've had people that have been interested, not in the brewery but in the brand. They wanted the name. I'm like, what? You just want the name? Like, yeah, we want the name. I'm like, are you guys military? No. Like, what makes you think you can have the name? It's trademark. Get out of here.
Yeah.
But I think it's really cool, man, what you guys are doing. I mean, yeah, you stretch yourself out thin, but I think at the end of the day, you have the same mindset that we have where, you give back to those who are keeping you in business.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the community that's keeping you in business, and you give back so much to them, man. And I think it just, it says a lot about the name. It says a lot about the people working it.
Yeah, I mean, we just met up with the American Legion and the mayor of Mission this morning, and we're talking about an organization that they're starting for the city called Red, White, and Blue. It's a city-based nonprofit to help out first responders, EMS, and veterans, all combined in one as a first option, over suicide and stuff. I'm like, hell yeah! So we're actually in the talks about doing a huge cook-off, like a non-standard cook-off, like something. And I can't even announce it yet, but everyone's like, wow, why haven't we done that before? And like it's gonna be pretty fun. We're actually working on it right now, so be on the lookout for that.
Stay tuned for that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. So
I'll just put it this way: it's perfect for winter weather.
oh man, now you got me thinking. So you got chili, you got
No.
tamales,
Perfect for winter weather, but has a lot of valley roots to it.
tamales, menudo, pozole.
You're very, very much on point.
A little bit too much. All right, I'll throw a few things out there, a few left balls.
Oh no, it's a few things all in one.
Tacos,
Burritos.
burritos.
Oh yeah, I'm not in New Mexico. My bad.
Chili cheese fry. Or no, Frito flaming cheesy Frito flames. Yeah.
Sounds good.
So, yeah, just to keep people guessing. What?
That's awesome.
Elote Fest. We should do an Elote Fest.
Well, I'm gonna write that down. Elote Fest. You heard it first on the show today. On.
So what's next?
Man, we're ambitious.
I mean,
We're shooting for the stars, man. I mean, maybe we'll get out of the atmosphere, but we got a distillery that we're working on. I'm really adamant about doing. I think the Valley needs one. I think the Valley's ready for one. We have an amazing rum, which recipes actually Irish whiskey.
You have a rum already?
No.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Edit it out.
It depends on who's listening. No, we have proof of concepts. Yeah, we have proof of concepts. We have a rum and we have an Irish whiskey that we're doing proof of concepts on right now. And if anyone's listening, no, we are not charging for these products. We're just testing them out. But the Irish whiskey is just insane, and so we're messing around with names right now with the branding scheme, and some of the guys want to stick to the military theme, and I'm like, man, let's do something for the Valley. Let's do something. iconic for the valley. So we have a couple ideas that we think we're going to run with, and one of them is actually pretty significant because the recipe's been down here in the valley for 230 years, and so I think it's going to hit off big.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah.
So we're doing that, and eventually down the road, you want to buy one of the vineyards in North Mission and open up a winery as well.
Again, another thing I've heard about. I've never seen them. The vineyards up in North Mission.
They need some work, man. They're running the wrong type of grapes. Honestly, the grapes need to be ripped out. They need to replant the ones that are good for the area. Our soil content's actually good down here. The problem is with the heat, but it's all mitigatable. Like, you can mitigate the heat and pest if you're doing the right things. And I think we have a right recipe. I think we have good mentality on our heads, and I think we can actually pull it off. So we want to do the winery, we want to do the distillery, and we definitely want to upgrade on the brewery. We have to upgrade on the brewery. No question is, I mean, we have to scale up.
Yeah, I mean, if you have people knocking on your door and you're selling out of products in 8 days,
I would love to have the product up in Corpus Christi and Laredo right now. We physically can't.
Distribution, or physically can't produce it?
We can't produce it. Can't produce enough.
Are you currently outside of the valley, or are you just...
No, we're down here. The only product that we have outside of this valley is when these restaurants drive all the way from San Antonio and Corpus, Robstown, and Laredo, and they're driving all the way down here to pick up our product and driving all the way back there. I'm like, wow, that is like the most expensive distribution cost I've ever seen.
But it gets people in through the door, and it kind of reduces.
I feel bad though, because they're driving like a couple hundred miles to pick up $200 worth of beer. I'm like, wow, that's
the overhead's not there. But maybe they're coming down to the valley to pick up some Delias tamales too. And
already?
On their way
oh
back.
yeah, like oil fields. Day before I would go out to shift, like, hey, Delias tamales. Like, oh, come on, man.
Yeah, I've traveled everywhere with them, to China with them too. I bet carried a suitcase full of tamales to China, so I've done that before. But so right now, primarily or exclusively, you're in the valley. This side of the valley and toward Brownsville, all around
South
the valley?
Padre Island, Rio Grande City, Raymondville, all the way down to Hidalgo. We're valley wide.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So it seems like that's going to be that you're going to stay in the valley. That there's no plans to move your actual distillery somewhere else.
No, we're staying in the valley. Valley is an economic hot spot. It's going to grow. It's going to get bigger. Hopefully, we figure things out economically down here, and we're in a really, really good position right now down here.
I think your biggest challenge is going to be convincing your beer drinker that we spoke earlier that can say, I can buy an 18-pack for, $12.
Easy.
And
easy argument.
But that's what you're gonna have to fight, right?
Oh yeah, no, but it's an easy argument.
You've already been doing it, but
no, it's extremely.
What's the argument then?
Okay, go ahead. Drink an 18-pack. I can get there with 4 of these.
Okay.
Go spend $24. I'll go spend $12. I'm done.
But it's not about getting there per se, right? Because like a lot of the people, when you drink Valley beer here, it's not to in some cases it is, right? So it's like, I want to get drunk fast, and if you're doing that, you're not going to drink whiskey, right? But whatever, you're gonna drink some kind of alcohol that's stronger to get you to that point faster, if that's what you're pursuing. But a lot of people are we're gonna barbecue, we're gonna cook out, we want to start it's football, it's a Sunday, we're gonna start drinking at 10 o'clock, and we want to be drinking, we want some,
Oh well, we have blondes for that, and we have light beers for that, and on top of that, if you want something flavorful, I cannot drink, I cannot drink Coors Light to save my life, and that was my go-to beer in high school, and I cannot drink it to save my life. I sip it, and I'm like, man, it's just like flavored water. Well, this is horrible.
We keep it around in our cooler just to know that, hey, we're out of beer, and so when we see someone drinking a Coors Light, it means that it's
we need to upgrade.
Yeah, we're out of beer. We're down to our last 12 packs. So.
Call the Uber. Let's go get that running.
Yeah, so yeah, good deal. Awesome, man. But yeah, I'm definitely very excited that you guys come here. I've definitely seen the growth in the last year and a half that I've been here. I see you guys everywhere now. I really like when I've seen you guys at the movie theater. It's like, man, this is and Fabian and I have been talking about trying to get you guys here to come out for a while, and it's just, you guys are killing it, man. You guys are crushing it. You guys sounds like obviously you guys have the right team in place, and you guys got some big things coming up.
It's all about the team, dude. It's all about the guys that you surround yourself with, and trust your decision making with, and it's all about having the right guys in the right place.
Good deal.
That means a whole bunch, man. You kept harping on surrounding yourself with the right people, and for you to come down here, and actually do this, it's a compliment for us. I think. We really appreciate you actually doing this.
No, I appreciate what you guys do, man. This is awesome for having us out here. I love what you guys do. I stalk TJ a little bit on Facebook, so I've been,
good deal.
Keeps on talking about you guys. I'm like, okay, come down here and check it out. I'm looking, spying a couple of rods over there. I need to get on the water bad.
Yeah, but I mean, it says like you're like me. Like I build a lot of fishing rods, but I don't fish as much, man. Like I'm turning down. Like I get invited to go fish. I was like, man, I can't. We're just so busy. We got like this and that, and it's just.
I love hog hunting. That is like
From a helicopter.
Huh?
From a helicopter.
I haven't done that yet. Not legally. Not here in the U.S. But I just
done it at all,
man, I love hog hunting. I haven't been hog hunting in like almost 3 years, and it's just killing me. Like I want my kids to be able to enjoy, you know, what I enjoy. I want them to take them out fishing. I want to take them out hunting, and I just haven't had the time. And I feel like really bad as a father right now. So hopefully soon in the next couple of months, I'll take a couple months off or a couple weeks off from I'll still maintain my day job that I have, but I'll take a couple weeks off from the brewery and be able to kind of play catch up with the kids a little bit.
Good deal. So.
Again, man, thanks a whole bunch for coming by. I mean,
Thanks,
it
guys.
really
Yeah,
was a
appreciate
pleasure.
it. Yeah, sir. It was nice meeting you. So.
Guys, thank you all for tuning in. I mean, I think this was a heck of a show. I mean, we learned a lot, and not only that, you know, we met someone who is to me becoming very, very quickly a pillar in this entire community, not just Mission. You know, they do so much for our community. They just give so much back to our community. Guys, everybody has a different passion. Everybody has different addictions. You know, guys, be with your passion. I mean, grow with your passion. Grow your passion. Enjoy your passion. And again, always feed that addiction, guys. See y'all on the next one.
All right. See you guys. Cut this
I love that addiction. 7-day addiction.
Right one. Yeah, but beer can be an addiction. So many things can.
This is nice.